Hey everyone, so I thought of making this video to talk about something that I think a lot of us are going through, which is COVID-19 anxiety. And I haven't really spoken about COVID in any of my videos yet, possibly because I initially thought of making this YouTube channel about LGBTQ issues, and that is what I've been focusing on. But I think that because of COVID, a lot has changed, and I wanted to share my experience with dealing with COVID anxiety. So I don't know if I'm the only person who's going through this, but what happened was back in 2020, last year, the month of March and April was very difficult for me because that was the time when the pandemic hit and the lockdowns hit, and there was a lot of uncertainty. We had no vaccines, we didn't know anything, we didn't know much about the virus, and at that time there was a lot of scary news coming from Paris. I think it was Paris and a few other European countries of people who were on ventilators and people who were dying, and it was a very tough time. The lockdowns were horrible because I was living in by myself at that time, and I had no idea how I would manage anything, given that the lockdown rules itself were very unclear. I had no idea if medical stores would be open. I had no idea if Zomato would be open. I didn't know if I would get food or not, and I was staying by myself. So that was a tough time. But I think the March was a tough period. April was tough, but I think from May onwards, I got used to it, and I understood that this is here to stay, and that essential services would still be functional. And I do remember that for a very long time, essential services continued to be provided. But at the same time, a lot of people were also falling sick, and it was very, very disheartening to see who all, especially people close to you, who were falling sick. But I kind of got used to it. And I don't know what happened, but I kind of tuned out of the news. I used to consume a lot of news, but I just stopped watching it. And even when the second wave hit, I tried to not follow the news for intentionally, because I know that the news has this very, very troubling aspect to it, which is that it really worries you, and it makes you more conscious about everything. And so I tried to distance myself from the news, and it's becoming increasingly hard, to be very honest, to not think about COVID, because no matter how hard I try, there is always somebody or the other who there is usually somebody or the other who I know who is now testing positive, who is going through some sort of problem or the other because of COVID. And it's reached a stage now, after a year, where there are people I know who are even dying because of COVID. And I know that last year a lot of people did talk about this. I do know that last year some of my friends knew people who had died because of COVID. They knew people who were on the ventilator because of COVID. I personally did not know too many people. I don't know if it's just me or not, but I think the second wave is crazy. It seems to be worse than the first wave, because just from my personal experience, the number of people I know who are falling sick because of COVID, who are testing positive, who are hospitalized, is just so much more now than it was before. And it is very, very difficult to not follow the news. And I think this is what is causing a lot of anxiety in me. And it's becoming increasingly difficult to stay away from the news. And also it's becoming increasingly difficult to pretend like this doesn't exist. Even though I wear masks, even though I physically distance, and even though I carry a hand sanitizer and I do whatever I can, it still is something that's literally on your face. The fact that the pandemic has not ended, and I don't think it's going to end anytime soon. And also the fact that literally so many people are suffering. And I haven't even started talking about migrant workers, for example. People whose jobs depend on daily wage labor, they are suffering also because of the lockdown, and also because their livelihoods are now destroyed. So it is a very difficult time. And even though I do consider myself to be privileged, because I don't have to work, I don't have to earn my living through a daily wage, and I'm very grateful for my family and to God and to anybody and to everybody else who has supported me. But at the same time, the crippling anxiety that comes from knowing that anytime you could be tested positive, anytime you could come in contact with someone who's positive, it is so, so scary. And I don't know if I'm the only one who's going through this, so it would be great if other people who are also going through COVID-19 anxiety, if you are also going through it, it would be very great. It would be good to know how you're dealing with it. To be frank, this feeling never came to my mind until recently. It was actually not even in my mind a week ago. It is something that has just started happening because I'm finding out so many people I've just discovered people who are now testing positive, who are fine, healthy, everything going well for them, and then they test positive. And I understand that if you don't have comorbidities, you will most likely be okay, but it is not so easy because the virus does drain your body, it drains your immunity, it makes you weak, and it also takes a toll on your mental health because you're now dependent on other people to take care of you. And if you're living alone, then you have to take care of yourself, and that's very, very, very scary and difficult. And there's also a stigma that if you are COVID positive, you are treated like an untouchable, you're treated like somebody who people would not want to interact with, and that I think is also extremely sad. So, this is where we are, this is where I am, and I am not sure what to do. But I thought it was important to speak about it and to express to people that this is a tough time. I hope we can all come together to support each other emotionally, and even though we cannot meet people physically, it would be great if we could connect with each other virtually, and to ensure that those of us who are going through anxiety, depression, worry, stress from job, from career, from personal life, etc., that we all help each other. And that's all I wanted to share. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see if I can make more COVID-19 related videos in the future, because I think it's very important that we talk about it now, especially now because the second wave is so deadly and scary. But I am optimistic. I do hope things get better, and I would love to hear if any of you also share that optimism. Thank you, and I'll see you again next time. Bye.